Okay, obviously Ozempic is all the rage. It suddenly seems like everyone and their mom is taking it. But let's take a second to talk about these GLP-1 patches that are suddenly going viral on TikTok and whether or not they work. So influencers are hawking these GLP-1 patches. I wrote about it for Rolling Stone and I wanted to find out if they work at all. So I talked to Allie Hargens for this story, and she first started dieting. A lot of people I think can relate to this, started dieting for the first time in 6th grade. She did the grapefruit diet, which involves eating grapefruit with each of your meals. Since then, she's cycled through all sorts of eating and exercise plans, and now Hargens, who is 34, says that she struggled to lose that stubborn last 15 pounds, which again, I think a lot of people can understand. But recently she came across a product marketed as GLP-1 patches. Of course, these are playing off the popularity of medications like Ozempic, which we'll talk about in a little bit. The patches are marketed as a supplement, not a medication, but they're purported to aid in weight management and not eating as much at meals and things like that. Users are instructed to wear them continuously and change them out every 8 hours for a new one. So Hargens ordered a pack of them, she tried, and a few weeks after trying them, she realized that she was eating less. She said she wasn't going to rummage in the pantry even though she wasn't actually hungry. So in recent years, a class of drugs known as GLP-1 agonists have become wildly popular for patients who are looking to lose weight, although the drugs were actually first formulated for diabetes management, and they've also shown to be really helpful in other diseases like polycystic ovarian syndrome and migraines and all kinds of things. One study found that 4% of Americans are taking GLP-1s, which is a 600% increase in the last 5 years. The GLP-1s, which come in the form of a shot, seem like a miracle drug for weight loss, but they can be prohibitively expensive, sometimes even costing users up to $1,000 a month or more. And according to both buyers and sellers on TikTok, patients don't have to foot that bill. Instead, they can pay around $13 a month for these GLP-1 patches and get a lot of the same benefits, supposedly. So the most popular brand of GLP-1 patches comes from Kind patches. They also sell menopause patches to balance hormones and love patches to enhance mood and intimacy. So ingredients in Kind's GLP-1 patches include things like berberine, pomegranate, and L-glutamine extract, all of which have been shown to aid in the production of GLP-1, which is a naturally occurring hormone that regulates appetite. But the doses of those ingredients in the patches are nowhere near the amount that you would need to actually aid in that, according to Dr. Olivia Julianna, who is an endocrinologist at the University of Southern California's Keck School of Medicine. So she says the doses are super off compared to anything that was in research studies. Like they were giving people 8,000 times the amount of the ingredient that was in the patch. So it's not really likely to do anything if you have that small of an amount. But still, she understands why, because GLP-1s are so expensive, why people would want to give them a shot, but she says it's not worth wasting money on that. So I did reach out to Kind and ask them about what Dr. Dominguez said, and they responded and said, while we'd love to guarantee that our patches work for everyone, it's important to note that individual response to any supplement or product, including our patches, can vary based on a person's unique physiology, lifestyle, and specific sleep-related issues, which isn't really an answer to what I asked. And experts remain skeptical. They point to the placebo effect. So Dr. Dominguez says that her suspicion is that any benefits that people get from using the GLP-1 patches would be attributable to the placebo effect rather than the actual ingredients of the patches. And listen, it's not that surprising that these patches are that popular because studies have shown that Americans distrust the pharmaceutical industry, and that distrust is only growing. And that distrust is only growing as the wellness industry is only growing. Part of the allure of the patches, according to Dr. Diana Isaacs, who is an endocrine pharmacist, is this idea that they exist outside of big pharma. So she says a lot of people believe supplements are more natural, so they're healthier. But across TikTok, users swear that they've gotten great results from using these patches. But what I find really interesting is that a lot of people who are claiming this are also selling the patches on TikTok Shop. So I talked to Stephanie Morales, who is a 40-year-old who previously took a GLP-1 shot, but her prescription was expensive and she worried about becoming dependent on the medication, so she stopped taking it and started trying the patches. She said, I'm nervous with shots and stuff like that. I wanted to do something more natural. So she started using the patches and she says that she's noticed a difference. She used to be in this constant seesaw of overeating and then starving herself, and now she's not there. She says her eating habits have leveled out, which she credits to the patches. But in addition to using the patches herself, Morales does sell them on TikTok Shop. She says she sells hundreds a day and that she makes between $200 and $300 a day on commission of the patches. One month she made $5,000 just off commission of the patches, and another seller who asked to remain anonymous for this story told me they made $70,000 in 1 month on commission from the patches. And Hargens, from earlier in the story, I asked her if she felt that it was a conflict of interest to be selling the patches and also using them and saying that they're so good. And she says she doesn't worry about that she shares them because she likes them. And she says she only promotes products that have worked for her. And I mean, it's not any different than influencers doing this, right? Like, this is just kind of the marketing world that we live in now. But also, I'm really curious if you have taken GLP-1s or if you have tried the patches. I'm interested what your experience has been, or if you would try the patches. And in the comments of TikTok videos where people are selling and buying these patches, people swear that they've really helped them take the weight off and keep the weight off. But Dr. Isaacs is unconvinced. She says there's no data to support these. It's a complete waste of money. Someone's trying to make a quick buck off this. And people are making money. Like I said, one TikTok Shop seller made $70,000 in 1 month just from selling the patches. I also talked to Melissa Logano, who is 45 and lives in Connecticut and struggled with weight management after having 2 children. She eventually started taking tirzepatide, which is a GLP-1 agonist shot, but she didn't want to be on the medication forever, even though she lost 20 pounds on it. So she stopped taking it and she started using the patches. She says, my weight has stayed steady. I don't know if it's in my head or it's something that's really helping, but I'm not going to stop wearing them. And that's kind of what Hargens said from earlier in the story. Like, they understand that the placebo effect is maybe in play here, but like, on one hand, like, does it really matter if it's a placebo effect, if it is working? So she said, I don't see that as a bad thing, even if it's just in your mind. So I'm curious if you would try the GLP-1 patches, either for the placebo effect or because you think that they would actually work. And if you are curious about more internet deep dives, make sure that you follow me, like, subscribe, the whole thing, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss my next video.